Hey y'all, my name is Crystal and this is my very first book chat video for this channel, and I'm going to uniquely call it Fiberartsy Reads. And I thought that would be a really good maybe sort of intro sort of video would be to talk about my favorite books I read so far this year, 2021. And as sort of a quarterly check-in. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I have, by the end of March, I had read 51 books, and I think I kept a list of like 15 that I thought were pretty daggone good. So let's get started. All right. In January, I picked out 5 favorites, and the very first book I read of the year was, well, I listened to the audiobook, was Know My Name by Chanel Miller. And you guys, oh my gosh, I wish everyone would read this book. It is so powerful, so important. And this is Chanel basically giving herself a name, you know, because she was formerly really known as Emily Doe throughout the Proctor sexual assault case, the trial. And so it just documents what happened, you know, and she goes through all through the trial and everything like that, and some personal things about herself. So yeah, I really loved it. Cried. Yeah, it's good stuff. And next is really a twofer, because I listened to, again on audiobook, The 12 and City of Mirrors by Justin Cronin. These are books 2 and 3 in the Passage trilogy. And I listened to The Passage on audio as well last year, 2020, and it was one of my favorites of the year. I don't know, I just really loved this series. I know some people who don't, but I dug it, and I was late to the party on this one, but so excited that I finally got to it. And books 2 and 3 didn't disappoint. Lots of action, lots of twists. Just, I loved it. Recommend. And the audiobooks were great. All right, an actual book here. Book 3, Cradle of Parasites by Sarah Tenklinger. This is a poetry collection of primarily poems about the Black Plague, though towards the end she sort of goes throughout history of some different diseases, sicknesses, plagues. And oh man, this is some good stuff, you guys. If you like dark stuff, dark poetry, this is it. And then I finished off with another series with Imago by Octavia Butler. Imago is the final book of the Lilith's Brood trilogy, and I've got it in a bind up here, but I read book 3. Oh man, it really wrapped up the series very well. I've never read anything like this. It's so inventive, so unique, plays with gender roles, sexuality, family, space stuff. It's so good, so good. And then finish out January faves, An Unkindness of Ghost by River Solomon. I loved this book, 5 stars. This book, what did you even say? It is hard to read a lot of times. It's, you know, it's difficult. We've got, of course, just sort of racism. There's violence, sexual violence. Read a little bit about it maybe before you read it if you think that might be hard for you. But we've got a spaceship that is basically set up like the antebellum South, and the lower you are on the ship, the darker your skin color is, and you're treated like garbage. But perhaps there's a way to rebel. It's easy. You gotta read it. February. I've got 3 favorites from February, and first up is kind of a surprise, but it's due to my friend Herbert. I finally read this, I'm in a little book club with some friends of mine on Facebook that I run, and we picked this one to read, and I ended up really liking it when I first read it. It had intimidated me for a long time, so I never read it, but I was like, all right, book club, let's do it. So, and I was glad to finally read it. Now, at first I didn't come away like loving it. I thought like, oh my gosh, everyone loves this, so I'm gonna love it. But at first I was like, I liked it a lot, and like I hated it, but I didn't love it. The more I think about it, I'm like, maybe I kind of loved it. You know, it's pretty kind of good. So I am now, I think, going to continue on with the series. I think I wasn't going to at first, but I may have bought them all already, so it's fine. It's fine. Damn. Let's follow that up with The Cipher by Miss Kathy Koja. I mean, again, what do you even say about this book? It's like one of the most like foulest book with both content and characters. They're kind of like disgusting, despicable people. It's very 90s. Okay. As someone who was in art school in the 90s, this gave me a vibe, because there's this whole art sort of sub-story of these artists in the 90s. And I was like, been there, yeah. But these people find this hole in a sort of, what's the word? Not closet. Anyway, we'll say a closet of their apartment building. It's not a closet, that's not the word I'm looking for, but I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But it's a black hole. Where does the hole go? We don't know. What comes out of the hole? We're not sure. Let's start putting things in it and finding out. So that doesn't sound like a problem. I think that sounds like a good idea. It's not a good idea, but I loved it. So recommend. And then, sorry, I'm reaching for my pile. I finished Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson, and I was very surprised that I came away really loving this story. It is very complex. It's kind of hard at times. You gotta kind of like focus, you know, but I ended up really loving this. Now, I'm basically just buddy reading this with Jason over at Jason's Weird Reads, and we're chatting about this on his Discord, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm chatting about the books with him, and I've continued with the series. I'm started book 3 now, so I mean, yeah, I'm kind of in. I'm just ready to see where it goes. The characters are great, the world's great. It's at times really violent, and I love it. I really enjoyed it. It's fine. Okay, March. 2, 3, 4. I've got 6 favorites for March. March was a really good. March was a pretty good month. And another of my book club pick that I ended up really loving was The Hate You Give. Again, I'm late to this party as well, but man, yeah, this was good, you guys. And I ended up, of course, going through this through the audio as well, but audio was fantastic. And I think a lot of people know what this book is about now, but you know, essentially we have our main character here who witnesses of her friend getting killed by police officers. There's a sort of fallout from that, but there's also a really amazing family in this story that I loved. I loved the family in here, particularly Maverick, the dad, and I know he's got a sort of spin-off story now, and I really want to read that, and gosh, I really loved this. Why did I wait so long to read it? I don't know, but yeah, it was really, really good. All right. What I don't have, I have this on my Kindle, but A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I read this as part of Brad's Proctor from Brad Proctor's Spine Breakers book club. And yeah, I really loved this. I think it's a book that you're either gonna like or you're just not, because it's very character heavy, very character driven. It's essentially a space opera. We've got a ragtag crew, and you know, we basically just follow them like through what they do, their job, and like little stops along the way. And oh, the characters are so amazing, and I cried. mean, it was so good. It's so good, you guys. All right. Next up, Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I know this is a fave of a lot of people, and I finally got around to it, and it's really good. Really, really, really wonderful middle grade fantasy. The start of a series. We'll talk about series maybe one day. And how I have a million of them. But really fun inventive world. Really fun characters. A really big cat. Where's the cat? Yeah, really big cat. He was fun. Yeah. Yeah. If you've been sleeping on this one like I have and haven't got around to it, and you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll get to it, get to it. It's a lot of fun and has a lot of heart. Really recommend. Alrighty. I've got a few more. Dear Mr. Henshaw by Beverly Cleary. This is another middle grade book that I did from Middle Grade March, but this was one of my favorite books as a kid. One of my favorites, and I hadn't read it really since I was a kid. And I was like, I really want to read, I want to check it out again, because I just remember loving it so much. And you guys, it's still so good. I think for me, it's like, it's a more of a personal, you know, or maybe have like a personal connection, not personal. You know what I'm trying to say. It's just, our young boy here his parents are divorced, and he has this sort of relationship, or really kind of a non-relationship with his father that is, I mean, it's making him sad, and he's trying to deal with everything that's going on. He's, you know, he and his mom have moved to a new place. He's a new kid, and you know, in a new school, and then he's dealing with what's going on with his parents not being together anymore. I think as a child of divorce, for me, I think that's what has spoke to me, you know, and spoke to me when I was a kid reading it too, and it still holds up. It still is everything that, you know, if you have a child that's dealing with a divorce, I'd say read it. It doesn't matter if it was written, what, 30, 40 years ago. It's still really good. Beverly Cleary just, she knows her stuff. She knows what she's doing. So, yep, I loved it. And actually another reread for myself was, whoa, The Witching Hour, Anne Rice. Yeah, my 90s heart is loving this. And I was obsessed with Anne Rice when I was in high school, and I wanted to reread this. I hadn't read it since. And I loved it all over again. I love the witch. Okay, I love the vampire stories, and I've read most of the vampire stories, but my heart was always with the Mayfair Witches, particularly this story. And God, rereading this was like, oh, I forgot how good this was. So, man, it's so good. And yeah, can't wait to continue on with the series in my reread. So, yay! All right, Coup de Grace, top of the tops. I read it in March. Definitely my favorite of the year. Maybe fave of all time. I don't know, but yeah, Betty, Tiffany McDaniel. Finally read it. And it's amazing. Yeah, it will break your heart and then smash on it and then break it again. Please prepare yourself to cry, and prepare yourself for violence, racism, sexual abuse. I mean, it's in there, but it's really so good, you guys. I'm speechless when I talk about it, because I'm like, it's just good, you guys. Like, beautifully written. The characters are amazing. Yeah, even the cover is stunning. I mean, what can you say? So that wraps it up. That's my favorite books of the year so far. I think it's a pretty darn good list. What are some of your favorites of the year? Do you check in with yourself quarterly? Do you kind of make little lists for yourself throughout the year and then kind of see how it all plays out at the end of the year? I'd love to know what you've been reading. Thanks so much for checking out my very first book chat video. I hope it's okay. I don't know. I try. I'm pretty minimal and low-key when it comes to this sort of stuff, so like there won't be a lot of bells and whistles, but hopefully it's at least somewhat entertaining. And I'd like to come back for another book chat video if that's okay. And so stay tuned for it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.